Welcome to Mother Cluckers. My name is Debbie. If you hatch your own chicks like we do, or you get them from a feed store, do you ever wonder how to determine at an early age whether your hen might be a rooster or not? Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell initially when they're babies, but there are clues. So we'll give you some of those clues in this video. Stay tuned.
Telling if you've got a rooster in your flock can be tricky when they're still young, but there are a few signs you can watch for as they grow. One of the first clues is the comb and wattles. Roosters usually grow their combs and wattles faster and larger than hens. So if you've got one chick with a bright red comb and bigger wattles around 4 to 6 weeks, while the others still look small and pale, that one might be a rooster. Next, behavior can tell you a lot. Young roosters tend to be a little bolder. They may stand taller, act like they're in charge, or challenge other chicks by chest bumping or flapping around. Some might even try a little crow. It won't sound like much at first, more like a broken squeak, but it's still a big hint. This usually starts happening around 6 to 8 weeks old. Then there's feather development. In many breeds, roosters feather out more slowly than pullets. While the girls fill in nicely, the boys might still look patchy or uneven. As they get older, roosters start to grow certain feathers that hens don't. You'll see pointy saddle feathers along their lower back and curved, shiny tail feathers, called sickles. Hens have more rounded, softer-looking feathers in those same areas. Another thing to check is the legs. Roosters often have thicker, sturdier legs even when they're young, and if you look closely, you might spot tiny spur bumps forming on the backs of their legs. They won't be full spurs yet, but just a little raised area where they'll grow later. This isn't always a sure thing, but it's one more piece of the puzzle. Sometimes color patterns can help, but it depends on the breed. For example, with barred rocks, males usually have lighter, more uneven barring, while females have darker, more uniform patterns. Some breeds called sex-linked chickens are specifically bred so you can tell male from female by their color at hatch. In those cases, figuring it out is easy. The chicks are born with visual differences right away. Now there are a couple ways to be totally sure if it's a rooster, but they're not something most backyard chicken keepers use. One is called vent sexing, where a trained person checks the chick's private parts to look for a tiny bump that signals it's a male. But this has to be done right after hatching, and it takes serious skill. Not something you'd want to try at home. The other way is DNA testing, which is accurate, but it costs money and takes time to get results. For example, in certain crossbreeds like Isa Browns, the females hatch out a reddish-brown color, and the males are usually white or lighter in color. These crosses were made with backyard keepers and egg producers in mind, so they take the guesswork out of it. But for most other breeds, you'll have to rely on watching your chicks grow and change. One thing that often gets overlooked is body posture. Even at just a few weeks old, roosters often stand taller and prouder than the others. Their necks seem longer and they keep their chests out more. It's not a sure sign on its own, but if you have one chick that always seems to strut around like it owns the place, you might want to keep an eye on that one. You can also pay attention during group feeding times. Roosters are naturally more dominant, so they may try to boss others away from the feeder or perch higher on the roost. These early social behaviors don't always mean they'll be aggressive as adults. It's just part of their natural instincts starting to show. Some roosters will practice crowing very early, sometimes as young as 4 to 6 weeks. It usually sounds like a broken whistle or a scratchy squeak at first, but it's a pretty solid clue. Pullets don't usually make that kind of sound. And if you're still not sure, the best thing you can do is give it time. Around 10 to 12 weeks, the physical differences become much clearer. The combs get redder, the tail feathers start to grow in, and the overall behavior shifts. You might notice one or two birds start acting more protective or alert, even giving a soft warning call when they sense something nearby. That's classic rooster behavior kicking in. And remember, just because a bird turns out to be a rooster doesn't mean it's a problem. In fact, a well-behaved rooster can be a great addition to your flock. They help keep watch, find food for the hens, and even break up squabbles between other birds. But if you're not allowed to have roosters where you live, or you only want hens for egg laying, it's important to spot those early signs so you can make decisions before your birds start crowing loudly at sunrise. Every chick develops at its own pace, so don't worry if things aren't obvious right away. Keep observing, take notes, and you'll start noticing the subtle differences more and more. It's all part of the fun of raising chickens and learning their personalities as they grow.
Let us know how you determine in your flock whether you have a hen or a rooster. As always, we thank you for watching and supporting our channel, and we'll see you next time.